Today we are going to unveil the differences between @state and @observable. If you want to dive even deeper, go ahead and check out the first link in the description. It's rebeloper.com/mentoring, where you can meet me on a one-on-one Zoom call. Okay, so @state versus @observable. We are going to have two examples. I have prepared here just a simple dummy project. It's just like this. We have a navigation link with the state example, nothing here yet, of course, and observable example. Okay, so I'm going to comment these two out once we write them. So we are going to take a look at the differences, how @state and @observable is storing values and how you should use them, because it's no silver bullet. @state is for one type of data handling and @observable is for a different one. So let's start off with @state. @state, what you have to know about is @state is it lives while the view lives. Basically, that's it. @observable outlives the view. And now we are going to create our own example. So let's go @state and let's create some views. So import SwiftUI first, of course, and we're going to create a struct, not a string, but a struct, state example of type view, and yep, that's great. Let's just have here before the body some variables. So @state, we're going to have these throughout. So we're going to have count, and it should show the counter basically. So state private, we are going to count up and see if the changes are going to be stored and how they are going to be stored. So private var count equals 0. This is where we are storing the count value on the view itself. And then state private var show child equals true. Okay, so let's create our view then. So it should be a vertical stack. It will be really, really simple. And we are going to have a button with a title of toggle child. Okay, and the action will be show child dot toggle. And if the show child is true, so if show child, we are going to have a new view. Let's just create that right over here at the bottom. So a new struct. Let's just call this child and state. So it uses the state variable view, and this will have a body of a vertical stack, and it will have a text of count, come on, count, and let's just have this as count, and we want to add, oh, I guess, no, the count of state variable should be inside. Let's just have that, and let me just move that outside of the example and move it into the child state. So we are setting the count for the inside the view itself, which we are presenting, showing, or not. Okay, and let's have an increment button also. So a button with a title of increment, and the action would be count plus equals 1. Okay, so now we are going to add that child state view, and let's have a simple border. So border dot the gray, so we can see basically the differences. So now what I want to do, first of all, we are inside the navigation stack, obviously. On the content view, I'm just going to comment this in, and now we can see the state example. So let's see how this behaves. It has succeeded. Great, let's just go over there. And now we are going to toggle the child back in. Yeah, it's straightforward, really simple. And now let's increment. So yeah, that's also great. Now the count is at 4. Pay attention. If I toggle the child back and then in, it says that the count is 0. That is because our what's it called? State example. Let's just go over it. Our child state has been removed from our view hierarchy. And let me just correct that typo. So let's just build again and see it side by side. So here are our views. There we go. So we have the toggle child. Okay, that's fine. If I increment, when I toggle the child off, that child state view will disappear. And when I toggle the state variable back again, so the child state would appear again, then it would just start off from scratch. So the state variable will start off with count. Now, in some cases, that is actually what you want. But in other cases, you want the count to be a little bit more persistent. So, not throughout life cycles, but throughout the life of the app. So that's the other one. So we are going to take a look at the observable example. Again, I'm going to import SwiftUI, and I'm going to store that count not on the view itself, but inside an observable. So at observable, there we go. And that will be a final class of counter model. Okay, and let's have that count added in there, default value 0. Okay, so now let's build out those two views again. So it will be another struct. Let's just call this observable example. Yes, it's of type view. There we go. And we are going to have that state variable to show the child. That's, of course, we are going to have that state private var show child. And by default is true. Okay. And then instead of, storing the count inside our child view, we are going to create our model right over here. So at state private var var model equals our counter model. Counter model. Great. So now let's build out our view again. So vstack, our button of toggle child. Come on, let's have that inside those two quotes. And the action would be show child dot toggle. Okay. And then our if statement. So if show child, we are going to do something. Okay. But what is that something? Well, we want to create our child differently than the previous one. So we want to have a struct of child, child observer. Okay. And that will be again of type view. And right over here, I'm going to pass along our model. So that will be our counter model. And now I can just say this will be our child observer with the model. I'm just passing it along. And let's also have a border here too. So dot gray, so we can see it a little bit easier. So now let's go on to the actual counting vstack again, and let's have a text of count. And now I'm accessing the count from the model. So model dot count, and then on the button, let's have a button with increment. There we go. And that would increment the model's count. So model dot count plus equals 1. Okay, all I have to do is just go into the content view and enable the observable example view. So now if I build and run, we'll see different views. So right over here in the observable example, kind of the same, the actual views are the same, but the logic is different. So if I just toggle it, nothing really happens, it's just fine. But if I increment it, let's just say all the way up to 6, and I toggle it off, on the state example, it just put it back to 0. Now if I toggle it back in, the count still exists. And that is because that count is not dependent on the view, while the state variable was dependent on the view. And it's as simple as that. Use it however you'd like it. It depends on your use case, but you want to make sure that you understand the differences between those two. At state is on the view level, and then at observable with its property, its variables, it's more universal. It can be accessed throughout multiple views. If you like this tutorial and you want to dive even deeper, go ahead and check out the first link in the description, and you can meet me on the mentoring session at rebeloper.com/mentoring.